Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Jazakallah khair for inviting me and staying back to listen as well. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So a little bit about myself. I'm a doctor who currently works at Northampton General Hospital. I used to work over in Leicester in the past as well. I worked with Brother Bashir before as well. And at the moment, or for the last couple of years, I've been working in cancer specifically, and I'm training, inshallah, to complete my specialist training in cancer. So I'll be an oncologist in a few years' time, inshallah. Hopefully, I'm going to try and tailor this talk to how it might benefit everyone here. And if there's anything specific that you want to ask, feel free to ask as we go through it as well. At the beginning, I thought it's really helpful to understand a little bit about what cancer is, because then it helps you understand why it's difficult to treat and actually what kind of treatments are out there at the moment, because it has a lot of connotations associated with it. When people hear the word cancer, it automatically rings alarm bells, obviously, but actually it's quite a broad term. Okay, so number one, I think that's one of the problems with cancer now, because it's not like it was maybe 40 years ago. There's a lot of change, a lot of different medicines out there, and actually cancer by itself now doesn't mean a death sentence. Okay, so it's a broad term. I almost deem it like infection. Yeah, not that it's like an infection, but if you say I have infection, what type of infection is it? Is it a infection on your finger? Is it an infection on your toes? Is it infection inside you? Is it a really bad infection? Is it an infection that you're going to die? Is it an infection that you just put a plaster on and your body will get rid of it? So I think of cancer as a similar term. It's a very broad term, and inside it there's lots of different types of cancer, and they have lots of different meanings. Okay, so very, very quickly we'll go through a bit of basics in biology. You're all probably aware that we're made of cells, yeah, and our cells reproduce, yeah. So that's how we grow. Okay, so new cells get made all the time. Okay, our cells can only reproduce so many times. Okay, and they learn to be different things. Okay, so that's why skin cells learn to be skin cells, and they become skin. Yeah, brain cells learn to become the brain. Okay, so that's what happens. And as I say, they can only reproduce so many times, and that's why we become old, and that's why we eventually die. Okay, and that's because Allah Ta'ala has made us in such a way that we only have a certain number of ways that our cells can reproduce. Okay, sometimes what happens when the cells reproduce, they copy the code inside. So there's a code inside each of our cells that is unique for us, that tells us exactly how our body is made. And when it makes a new cell, that code is copied. And sometimes that code doesn't copy properly. And normally, subhanAllah, the way Allah Ta'ala has made us, so many complex mechanisms inside that our body recognizes that the new cell didn't copy properly, it sees that and it kills it. And that's the end of it. And this is happening all the time in all of us, mashallah. Now sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes either the cell that's been copied incorrectly manages to fool the body into thinking that it's normal, that it shouldn't be killed. So it stays alive, okay? And it makes more copies of itself. And it starts to reproduce many times, okay? And this is usually the beginning of a cancer, okay? And these are the hallmarks of that cell, so it starts to reproduce many times, and it doesn't get old. So that's one of the other things about it, that it can just keep reproducing, and it doesn't become like an old age cell. And then it can start to build its own blood supply, okay? And then it can try to go in the blood and go to other parts of the body. And it can try to grow there as well. And essentially that's what cancer is, okay? So that's a bit of understanding as to how cancer happens. No one knows exactly why any cancer happens. In fact, they didn't know for a long time, okay? And people used to think, is it somebody's fault? Has this done it? Has that done it? But actually, I think the answer, what we've found, is there's lots of different reasons why cancer happens, yeah? So there's no single, this happened and that's why I got cancer, okay? But there's things that happen outside and inside that make us more at risk of having cancer, more at risk of that cell being copied incorrectly and then evading being killed, managing to stay alive and managing to grow, okay? Going through all these, we have checkpoints that our cells go through to make sure that they're not being bad cells, but they manage to get past those checkpoints and stay alive, okay? So what's important for us to know is that how does that happen? So what we found, and this is the next thing that I want to talk about specifically, especially as a Muslim, when we get into science, we're scientists by nature, and you hear a lot about the fact that in modern times, science and religion is maybe not compatible, or science and Islam is not compatible. But I think actually, as you become more into it, you realise that no, actually it's the other way around. In fact, they complement each other absolutely perfectly. And the key thing is that as science is simply observation of the world around, the universe that Allah Ta'ala has created. Yeah? And if you are a real scientist, whatever religion they may be, the true scientist is simply there to observe, okay? Not to come to any kind of conclusion, just to observe and understand, okay? And that's physicist, who understands the way the world works. And then, once we understand it, then we try to make an explanation from it. And I think that's what's happened, that in modern times there's more scientists who are not necessarily Muslim or Christian, who do not have religion, and what they try to do is they try to explain these observations through other ways, and that's why they try to come up with these other kind of theories. But what we realise is that actually we're seeing the same thing. We don't disagree with it that we're seeing the same things, okay? But we understand that this is all from Allah Ta'ala's will, that's how we created it. So for example, the way I see it is that we do not fly, we cannot fly like a bird can fly. That's how Allah Ta'ala created us. Allah Ta'ala created the universe so that there's gravity and that we cannot fly. However, with science, people understood the laws of gravity, and these are the laws of gravity are the laws of Allah Ta'ala, and he understood the laws of wind resistance, and we managed to make aeroplanes, and now they fly. And we haven't broken Allah Ta'ala's laws, we are simply following His laws, and that's how we are able to fly. And the same thing happens in medicine, okay? So we do not break any laws, we are simply observing His laws that He has created, and then trying to use that within the limits that He has set. SubhanAllah. So moving on, okay, specifically about cancer. Why is it important to know about cancer? I mean, over the last 30 years, cancer is becoming more common. Okay, one of the reasons for that is because we understand it more. So, but in the past, people were dying either because our life expectancy was a lot younger. So cancer is known to happen more at risk as we get older. Okay, and that's how you can imagine if your cells are reproducing. So the more time they reproduce, the more chance of something going wrong. And the older we get, the more times they reproduce. So therefore, the more chance of something going wrong. So that's why the older we are, the more chance of a cancer we have. Okay. So if we're living longer, then we have more chance of cancer. And as we understand cancer more, we're diagnosing it more as well. So it was probably always there. Okay, it's not that suddenly it's a new epidemic and 300 years ago nobody had cancer. It's simply that it was always there. It's maybe more common because we're living longer, and it's also because we're recognizing it. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is that it's extremely common. Okay, so about a third of us in our life will have a diagnosis of cancer. Okay, which means that probably most of us in this room know somebody or have had a diagnosis of cancer either in the past, right now, or maybe in the future. So it's very common. Okay, but as I said before, that doesn't mean that it's a death sentence, and there's lots of different cancers out there, and they all have very different meanings. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why it's important to know about it. Now, what are the risk factors? We talked about when the cells reproduce, and then if they reproduce wrongly, that's when cancer can get made. And we talked about how people who are older, because the cells reproduce more, that's why there's a chance that cancer can get made. What's the other risk factors? Okay, and you'll hear a lot about this, from other people talking, from the press, from things you read, from articles, from the doctors. Okay, so I thought I'd talk about some of the big common risk factors that's really important for all of us to know about. Okay, so number one, okay, smoking. Everybody knows smoking is bad, okay, and for various reasons. But specifically for today, I'll talk about its link with cancer. It's one of the strongest things, environmental things, so something we can do and something we can change that has a link with cancer, okay? 1 in 4, so about 20% of all cancers is directly linked because somebody had smoked or been smoking for a long time, okay? So that's a huge proportion. and about a quarter of everyone who dies from a cancer is because they were smoking. Okay, so a huge link. That's a huge avoidable risk that we can manage. Okay, and why the reasons why, again, if you get into the nitty gritty of, smoking only causes harm. Okay, as from the science of it, it has no benefit whatsoever. It does a lot of damage in the lungs, it does a lot of damage in the blood, and basically it messes up the way the cells replicate. So therefore, it doesn't allow them to replicate properly, and that's why it can cause cancer. Okay, so smoking is a big one. Okay, some of the other big risk factors. So diet. Okay, and then we hear a lot about diet as well. Very specifically, and this is the other thing. Remember, I said that science is about observation. Okay, so not about saying, oh, this is good, this is bad. Like, in Islam, we're told not to drink alcohol, we're told not to eat pork, yeah? And I remember when I was a kid, and then my mum would tell me, don't eat pork because the pigs are dirty, yeah? And don't drink alcohol because it will make you drunk. SubhanAllah, and then you follow that. But actually, what's the real reason why we don't drink alcohol and why we don't eat pork? I think the number one reason, and the only reason really, is because we're prohibited. Simple as that, yeah? If it's prohibited, it's prohibited. We don't have to look for any reasons. Yeah, Allah Ta'ala said, do not do this, so we do not do it. Then we look for reasons and we try to understand it, and we do see the benefits. But it doesn't matter if somebody tomorrow said to me that if you eat pork, it will save your life because we found a link that it saves you from heart disease. I'm not going to start eating pork because that number one is prohibited. So that's the end of the story. So similarly, when it comes to diets that's related to cancer, all we've seen is people say, oh, don't eat such and such, don't eat such and such, or eat a lot of this because it might help you from cancer. And the important thing is that we have to see what evidence is out there. We have to see what have we observed truly and proven that there's a link, and what is hearsay. Okay? What is hearsay doesn't mean that it's wrong. It may be proven in the future, but I can't say it's been proven now. So the things that have got links with cancer, okay, so we know that eating a lot of red meat has got a link with bowel cancer. Yeah, so they've proven that by looking at people who get bowel cancer, asking them their dietary intake, what they used to eat, and looking over many years that actually there seems to be a link with red meat and processed meats as well. It doesn't mean that if you eat red meat you will get cancer. It just means that if you eat it regularly or over the top in your diet, it seems to have a link. Okay? It's just like cigarettes. If you smoke one cigarette, it's highly unlikely you'll get cancer. But if you smoke 10 cigarettes a day for the next 10 years, your chance of getting cancer is a lot higher. Okay? Similarly, in the diet, there's things that are considered to be good. So, if, for example, if you eat a lot of fiber, yeah, so you've got good bowel movements and things like that, that's associated with having less chance of getting cancer. Okay? There are now, and people might ask about this, there are talks about other types of foods that are linked to not protecting you against cancer. So people talk about turmeric, garlic, all these what they call superfoods. Okay, and these are the things where I want to say today that there may very well be protective elements. And I think in the whole, what we've realised is that a healthy diet seems to have a link with protecting us against cancer, and an unhealthy diet, so high salts, high processed foods, high red meats, seems to have a link with cancer. But there's no significant proof yet about specific food protecting us. Okay, so as I say, maybe in 10 years' time there will be. Yeah, no one. The problem is that when I say there's no evidence, somebody has to carry out a trial. Normally, who's going to carry out a trial? It will be maybe a pharmaceutical company, and it's got to be worth it for them to do that. Okay, and if you're talking about turmeric as being protective against cancer, well, the pharmaceutical company is not going to make any money from that because you can buy it from anywhere. So it's in no one's interest to check. Okay, so we see some anecdotal evidence, and as I say, if somebody did go out and set a trial, it probably would prove that. Okay, but I can't say hand on heart that that's definitely the case. Okay, but what we can say is that good diet seems to lead to that. Okay, so next thing, environmental things. So the sun, being out in the sun. Now, a lot of us are, alhamdulillah, have slightly darker skin, which means that actually we're already protected against sun cancer compared to people with lighter skin. Okay, and that's because of the pigment in our skin which protects us, and it's because we're from hotter countries originally. Okay, even that though doesn't mean that we're completely not at risk. So if you notice things like a mole and things like that, these are the risks those risks are there. Being out in the sun a lot without protection or not staying in the shade. To be honest, a lot of us again, historically designed to be out in the sun as much because they're from England. Yeah, that's why their skin is lighter. So their heritage is like that. And now with modern times with aeroplanes, people are travelling more, so they're going to hot countries and they're sunbathing and they're out and their body's not got the protection. We are from the hot countries, and I know like when I go to Pakistan, nobody goes and stands out in the sun unnecessarily. Everyone finds the shade, and tries to stay away from the sun and carries on, gets on with daily work. So that's that. Exercise has also got a link, so we know that people who are very overweight, and have lots of other problems being like overweight, like heart disease, diabetes, that also seems to have a link with various cancers, not just one, but various cancers. So I mean, what does that show? I think in the end it shows that a good, healthy, clean diet and good exercise and general seems to have a link with protecting against cancer. Okay. Now there is a genetic element to cancer. What does that mean? So it means that, I talked about that code in us, that DNA, that gets copied. Everyone's got their own DNA, and we get that from our mother and father, okay? So it's a copy from the mother and a copy from the father, and that makes our own specific DNA. That's the code that if you put it on a computer and you process it, it will make us, So that's the code, Allah subhanahu made this in such a complex way. Now, some people's codes, that's what makes us have dark skin, light skin, black hair, blonde hair, blue eyes, brown eyes, okay? Similarly, there seems to be a link with cancer there as well. So there's some people, their code, the way their code is made up, seems to be at risk that, I talked about the checkpoints. So when our cells get made again, they replicate, they go through checkpoints, So it's like an inspector checking, has it all gone right? Is this new cell correct? Yes, it's correct. You passed the test, you can carry on. You've incorrectly been, so I'm going to kill you because you're bad. Okay, so that's now sometimes if we genetically are made that our inspectors are not very good. So sometimes our inspectors don't realise very good. Some inspectors are very strong, some are not very good. Then we have more risk of getting cancer. Because say our inspector is not very good, that means he's going to let through the bad cells because he's not very good at noticing, and then the bad cells will grow. Okay. So why is that important to know? Okay, because there's not much you can do about that. If it's in our genes, it's in our genes. You can't change your genes. That's how we've been made. Okay, but why it's important is because if there's a strong family history of cancer, so a first degree relative, meaning your mother, your father, your brothers, sisters have had a cancer, and more than one, maybe 2-3 people have had the same cancer in your family, they've had it at maybe at a younger age, then the chances of us getting that same cancer could be a bit higher. There might be that the gene that they have, that code, is in us as well. And why is that important? Well, genetics at the moment is as advancing as a science, and I think in the next 10 years that's going to be something that's very important. They're going to be asking all of us, our GPs are going to be keeping a check and asking us who in your family has got cancer. And if somebody has a cancer, they're going to be saying, well, I think your brother and your sister need to be checked. And what check does that mean? Well, blood tests are going to be checked in the future to see if you have that same code in you that might make you more at risk of having cancer. And if it means you're more at risk of having cancer, it helps us warn people that you might be at risk. Okay? And we're already seeing it now with females with breast cancer, and that's extremely common, and that's probably at the forefront at the moment. So a lot of females having breast cancer who have got lots of relatives who have also got it, okay? And then they find out that actually their daughters are at higher risk of having it as well, okay? And this is proven, it's observation, we're seeing it happen. And it's going to happen in families who have got bowel cancer as well, okay? So that's very important, and as I say, at the moment, the best you can do is if you have someone who's had a cancer at a young age, in your family, or a direct relative, or you've got more than 2 or 3 relatives close by who've got similar cancers, I think it's always worth checking in with your GP, and that's what they're there for, to say, these relatives have had a cancer, and I'm worried that has it got any connection with me, and they will tell you if there's a risk or not, okay, and whether they need to do any tests or not, and whether those tests might be helpful or not, okay. And it's not just, so I know, in the past they said, well, what's the point? Because it just says, you're at high risk, but what are you going to do about it? But now, as I say, there are things people can do about it as well. So that's why it's important to know. Okay. So let's talk about. So that's the kind of the negativities of cancer that we all know about. Okay. The good thing about cancer is that, as I said, it's a broad term, meaning that about 50%, so half of all cancer diagnoses, people are pretty much cured. Yeah. So people say, is there a cure to cancer? Well, it's like saying, is there a cure to infection? There's no single one cure because there's no single one cancer. Yeah. So different cancers react differently. Okay. So what we know is that if you've got, for example, breast cancer, because we are screening people, we are checking, we are finding it very early, and we are doing operations, cutting it out, giving maybe other treatments, and they're cured. End of story. So that's great news. So what makes you more likely if you get cancer or your relative gets cancer to be in that 50%, that half who are going to be cured? So number one, the earlier you pick it up. Okay, that's probably paramount. Okay, the quicker we pick up the cancer, the higher the chance of you being cured. Okay, if you pick it up too late, the chances are that it spreads elsewhere, and then it becomes very difficult to treat. And we can treat it, we can try and keep people alive for a bit longer by Allah's mercy, but it's very difficult to cure. Okay, so what kind of symptoms do we have to look out for? Okay, because obviously we don't want to think, and remember, common things are common. That's what we always say in medical school. So if anyone's got any symptoms, don't think, I've got cancer. But it is important to be aware that there's certain things, and especially us as men sitting in this room, we're probably the poorest people to go to a doctor. And younger men as well, we never go to the doctor. I've never been to my doctor. I didn't have a GP for ages. You have some symptom, you just I'll deal with it, and then eventually it'll go away. That's fine. Okay, that's how we've got to go to work, we're busy, we've got families, we haven't got time to go to the doctor, okay? Maybe as we get older and we retire, then we have more time to go to the doctor, we end up having other medical problems, so we have to. Females often have more contact with the doctor because they often have kids. Kids go to the doctor, and men never go to the doctor, okay? That's fine, but if you have some symptoms specifically to look out for, I think it's always a good idea to check in with them, okay? So what are they? Okay, so there's general symptoms. Now, general symptoms are very non-specific, but if you start losing weight for no reason, so not because I'm exercising, because I've changed my diet, but I've said, for the last 2 months, I've lost a stone in weight. I haven't even tried, I've eat the same thing. I'm not doing no exercise, but it's just dropping off. My clothes are loose. I have to change something is wrong, okay? There's no good explanation for why someone would just lose weight like that. Okay. Now, if you look into it and say, well, actually, no, I have changed my job and actually I'm doing a lot more physical work, fair enough. Or if you say, well, you know what, my wife's gone out of town to her parents and I've just been eating one meal a day because I can't be bothered to cook, that's why I'm losing weight, fair enough. Okay, but as I say, if there's no reason, then, and you're otherwise fine, but you're thinking, this dropping off, you need to get checked out. Okay, there's lots of other reasons. It doesn't mean it's cancer. There's lots of other reasons, but they also could be treated as well because there could be other problems, thyroid function, infection, things like that as well. But cancer, one of the things it can do is make people lose weight unnecessarily, because it's consuming your food to grow. If you start having temperatures and sweats, like especially in the night, again with no explanation. Now, if you've got infection and you're on antibiotics, then fair enough. But then again, if that's been happening for the last 2 months, I think every night I'm waking up and my sheets are drenched and I'm having to change my clothes, and it happens every night and sometimes in the daytime. So again, there's no really good reason why that would happen, and I would tend to get checked out at the doctors. And thirdly, if you've got pain somewhere, maybe in your abdomen, in your tummy, or somewhere else in your body, that you haven't banged it, you haven't hit it, otherwise you're feeling alright, but there's a pain there and it's not going away, and it's been 2 weeks, it's been 3 weeks, it's been 4 weeks, now it's been a month, and that pain is still there, it's not going away, even though it's not bothering, it's bothering you, but you're just plowing on, you're getting on with work, I would get checked out, okay, because there might be a reason for that pain, and it doesn't mean it's cancer, but again, we shouldn't be living in pain for no reason. There should be an explanation if you're in pain for some reason, okay? Now we're going to move on to some of the specific things, okay? So, number one, with your bowels, okay? So if you're having a sudden change in our So suddenly I've gone from going to the toilet once a day to now going 5 times a day, and it's happening now for the last month. Okay, again, if it happens for a week, it's probably just your tummy's upset. Yeah, it's probably a virus, probably something we ate. Yeah, because again, if it's happening for a month and it's not getting better, or I'm getting blood, and when I'm wiping, I'm seeing blood there in the. Again, I would always get it checked out by the GP. Now, again, it could be something very simple, nothing of worry. But the reason we want to say is, why not take that extra half an hour, see the GP, it's free, that's what we pay our taxes for. And if the GP says it's nothing to worry about, then get on with the normal life. But if the GP says I want to do some more tests and finds it's cancer and finds that we found it very early, then that's much beneficial for us. Yeah? And I've seen it time and time again in the clinic, and I'll say to the patient, how long were you getting blood in your stool? And he said, well, I had it for about 6 months. But I just thought, yeah, it's probably nothing, 6 months. And then by the time they found it, it spread elsewhere. And now we're doing our best for the patient, but if he came a month into having blood in his stool, we might have had more chance of doing something about it. And that comes the same with passing urine as well, yeah? So if you're having blood in there, there's no good reason why you would have blood in your urine, yeah? It could be an infection, but again, you should always get it checked out, okay? So the other thing is skin lesions. You probably see these diagrams in GP surgeries about moles. And a lot of us will have a mole, like a black mole, and that's fine. They're normally fine. But if they change appearance, so if they start to change their shape, or they start to bleed, or they start to change colour, you should always get that checked out. And this is the thing. This is, mashallah, one of the excellent things about the National Health Service is that we have access to all of this. This healthcare. That especially when it comes to cancer, this is why no matter all the pitfalls of the NHS, and we complain about it all the time. I complain about it. There's not enough money, or people's expectations are too high. But when it comes to things like cancer, subhanallah, just think we are paying our taxes into the NHS. Now we may never need to doctor, especially as I said, us men. We may live our entire life hardly ever going to the doctor. And then we may pass away, and that's the end of it. SubhanAllah. All those taxes we've paid to the NHS have gone to pay for someone's child who had a leukemia, or have gone to pay for someone who had a bowel cancer, and paid for their operation, and paid for their thousands of pounds of chemotherapy. We've contributed, SubhanAllah. Inshallah, may Allah Ta'ala reward us for that as well. But if we are contributing, then we should also get some of the benefit as well, meaning that you're not wasting your doctor's time if you're getting some of these symptoms. And as I say, it doesn't mean that you should suddenly run to the doctor and say, I'm getting this, I've got cancer. Go to the doctor if this is persistent and you're not sure what it is. See what they say. Okay? And GPs are very good at spotting cancer. I mean, in fact, better than I am. When you get to me in clinic, it's too late. You've already been diagnosed with cancer. Now you're coming to me for treatment. Okay? I don't diagnose cancer. It's already happened by the time people get to me. It's the GP who's going to diagnose your cancer. And so they're very good at it, and they're looking for it as well, okay? Because they know how important it is that the earlier we catch it, the better. And I don't know if anyone, you don't have to share, but if anyone knows somebody who's got cancer or going through treatment right now or in the past, if not, I guarantee some of you will know somebody in the future, okay? And, the type of treatments we have for cancer is always changing as well, okay? Still at the moment, the best chance for a cure is if you can have an operation and cut it out. There's some cancers that you can't cut out, and then we give things like chemotherapy, and we all kind of hear about what chemotherapy is like. We can sometimes give radiotherapy, and there's some new medicines coming out as well, which inshallah will be very good at targeting cancers as well. They all have their downfall, problems, okay, so it's not straightforward. And if you have to go through all of that, it's a tough road, and people have to go, they have to stop working to go through chemotherapy because it's really tough. Your money gets tight. It's tough for the entire family. It costs a lot of money, even though the actual treatment here is free. It still costs a lot of money. So the best thing we can do is try to avoid it if we can. So if we're doing things like an unhealthy diet, not enough exercise, smoking, trying to make a change there is all good idea, okay? If you've got family, relatives, if you've got a lot of people in your family with certain cancers, or people getting it young, get checked out with your doctor just in case you're at risk, because if you are, there's things you can do to try and reduce that risk. Okay? And if you get any of these symptoms I talked about, it's all, or you hear it, not just yourself, yeah? You'll hear it from your relatives, friends, maybe somebody back home as well. They'll say, I'm getting this symptom. And especially back home, a lot of us from different countries, okay? But most of the countries we're from, they don't have a national health service, meaning that going to the doctor costs money, yeah? And going to the doctor, so we put it off even more. And I've had relatives like that as well, who put it off even more. But just think about it. If it costs £20 to go and see a doctor and they catch something early and they do operation and that's the end of it, yeah? If you go too late and you go to the doctor, now you're going to have chemotherapies and things like that. It's going to cost thousands of pounds, maybe you can't afford it, you know? This is, and maybe you can't cure it as well. So these are all the importance and I hope, inshallah, this is it's a brief introduction to cancer, but I hope it gives everyone a little bit more understanding about it, about the fact that we can manage it. It's not the end of everything, yeah? There's a lot of positive to be proactive about and tell others as well, so that we've got more chance of dealing with this better, inshallah.